Part 21.9 Al-Anbiya, the Prophets. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed, our enlightening voyage through the profound tapestry of Surah Al-Anbiya continues to unfold, revealing layer upon layer of divine wisdom and timeless truth. In our previous sessions, we confronted the relentless arrogance and spiritual blindness of those who chose to mock the divine message, and the impatience that veiled them from the undeniable reality of a coming reckoning. Today we stand before a set of verses that offer a sober reflection on the universal pattern of defiance and its inevitable outcome. We will dissect verses 41 through 45, which serve as a stark and powerful testament to the ultimate futility of relying on anything other than Allah for protection, and a majestic declaration of the all-encompassing knowledge of the Creator. These verses are not merely historical accounts of past peoples. They are a timeless and resonant call to every soul, urging us to abandon all false sources of security and to seek refuge in the one true protector. For in the face of divine will, all other shields are rendered useless. Kanzal Aman, Quran, Al-Anbiya, the Prophets, 21:41, verse 41, and certainly. Messengers before you were mocked, but those who mocked them were encompassed by that which they used to mock. This verse opens with a powerful and consoling statement, a divine acknowledgement that the path of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is not a singular, unprecedented journey, but a continuation of a profound and enduring legacy. It reassures him and the nascent community of believers that the ridicule and derision they face are an old and familiar pattern. The Arabic word for mock dystousia carries a weight of deep contempt and scorn, suggesting a conscious and deliberate act of belittling. It is a form of spiritual violence where the truth-bearer is treated as a trivial, insignificant figure, and their solemn message as a source of amusement. This ridicule was a shield for the disbelievers, a desperate attempt to distance themselves from a reality they found inconvenient and frightening. They could not refute the message with logic or reason, so they resorted to scorn, a weapon of the intellectually bankrupt. However, the second part of the verse delivers a chilling and universal truth, a lesson as old as creation itself. It states with absolute certainty that those who mocked them were encompassed by that which they used to mock. The very punishment they laughed at, the very doom they dismissed as a fantasy, ultimately surrounded and consumed them. The Arabic word ahaka for encompassed is a powerful one. It is not a gentle touch or a fleeting encounter, but a total surrounding, like a tidal wave swallowing an entire coastline or a consuming fire engulfing all in its path. The essence of this divine law is that the seeds of their own destruction were sown in their defiance. The heedlessness they cultivated, the arrogance they nurtured, and the scorn they wielded became the very agents of their demise. The divine consequence was a perfect reflection of their spiritual state. They mocked a promised punishment, and so they were met with that very punishment in a way that left no room for escape. This is a profound and unyielding lesson in divine justice, that the scales are always being held by the most just of judges. And what a person sows in this world, they will reap in the next. The spiritual law is that every action, every intention, and every word carries an energy that will ultimately return to its source. The Sufi understands this as a call to cultivate an inner state of gravity and seriousness, to never treat the truths of the divine with a lightness that will inevitably lead to a fall. Kanzal, Iman, Quran, Al-Anbiya, the Prophets, 21:42, verse 42 say, "Who can protect you by night or day from the most merciful?" Rather, they are turning away from the remembrance of their Lord. This verse is a direct and penetrating challenge to the disbelievers. A rhetorical question so powerful, it leaves no room for a meaningful answer. The Prophet, peace be upon him, is commanded to ask, "Who can protect you by night or day from the most merciful?" The question systematically deconstructs their false sense of security. They may have had powerful tribes, vast wealth, fortified strongholds, and political alliances, but none of these could stand against the will of Allah. The phrase by night or day signifies that there is no moment in time, no place on earth, and no circumstance where they could escape the reach of divine will. There is no off switch to divine power, no moment of respite from his authority. The irony of this verse is breathtaking, for it uses the name Ar-Ram, the most merciful. The very one who has been showering them with blessings, from the air they breathe to the health of their bodies, is the one from whom they will need protection. The refusal to acknowledge his magnificent mercy is an act of profound folly. The verse then delivers a poignant diagnosis of their spiritual malady. Rather, they are turning away from the remembrance of their Lord. Their lack of a protector is a direct consequence of their spiritual neglect. The remembrance of Allah, or dhikr, is the ultimate fortress, the most secure protection a soul can have. It is a constant spiritual connection that guards the heart and the mind. But because they have willfully turned away from this remembrance, they have left themselves spiritually naked and vulnerable. This verse serves as a profound lesson for all of us. Our true security is not in our worldly possessions or our fleeting power, but in our constant connection to the Creator. The one who has Allah as a protector has no need to fear anything, but the one who turns away from Allah has no protection at all, and their very existence becomes a state of constant peril. Kanzo Iman, Quran, Al-Anbiya, the Prophets, 21:43, verse 43. Or do they have gods that can defend them besides us? They are not able to help themselves, nor will they be protected from us. This verse continues the dismantling of the disbelievers' polytheistic beliefs with a final, crushing blow of logic. The question, or do they have gods that can defend them besides us, is a direct challenge to the very foundation of their faith. They believed their idols and false deities possessed a form of power that could intercede for them or provide protection from divine wrath. The Quran immediately and unequivocally refutes this with an argument so simple and irrefutable that it highlights the sheer absurdity of their claims. The verse states, "They are not able to help themselves. The very entities they place their faith in are utterly powerless. They are inanimate objects, creations of man's own hands, devoid of all power, consciousness, and will. How can something that cannot even protect itself possibly protect others?" This is a profound spiritual truth, that one cannot gain strength from something that is itself weak. The idols, whether of stone or of the human ego, are powerless to save. The verse then concludes with a statement that brings the argument full circle, "Nor will they be protected from us." This means that not only are the false gods unable to help themselves, but they are also powerless to stop Allah's punishment from reaching those who worship them. In fact, on the Day of Judgment, the very entities they worshipped will disown them, and they will find themselves utterly alone, standing before the true Lord with no advocate. The Sufi understands that the only true power and protection is with Allah, and to seek it anywhere else is an act of profound spiritual delusion. It is a journey that leads to a dead end, a mirage in the desert that promises water but offers only dust. Kanzel Iman, Quran, Al-Anbiya, the Prophets, 21:44, verse 44 rather. "We gave enjoyment to them and their fathers, until the lifespan seemed long to them. Do they not see that we come to the land, reducing it from its borders? So will it be they who will overcome?" This verse delves into the psychological and spiritual root of the disbeliever's profound heedlessness, the illusion of permanence, and the comfort of worldly life. The verse acknowledges that Allah, in His boundless grace, gave enjoyment to them and their fathers, a life of ease, comfort, and prosperity. The Arabic word mata, translated as enjoyment, implies something that is temporary and fleeting, a borrowed pleasure. The problem, however, is that the lifespan seemed long to them. They were so engrossed in their worldly pleasures and so accustomed to their generations-long existence that they forgot the ultimate reality of death and judgment. This is a timeless and pervasive spiritual disease, profound carelessness that stems from taking one's life, one's blessings, and one's time for granted. It is a state of mind where one believes they have forever to live, and thus sees no urgency in preparing for the inevitable. The longer a person lives a life of comfort without accountability, the more they become spiritually lethargic, believing that their worldly success is a sign of divine approval. The verse then presents a powerful argument from the natural and historical world to shatter this illusion of permanence. Do they not see that we come to the land, reducing it from its borders? This phrase can be interpreted in several profound and awe-inspiring ways. It could refer to the gradual conquest of the lands of the disbelievers by the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his followers, slow and methodical reduction of their territory and power. It could also refer to the constant, subtle, and undeniable erosion of coastlines, the encroaching of deserts, or the natural decay of all things. It is a quiet but relentless sign that nothing in this world is permanent. It is a metaphor for the continuous erosion of a person's life with each passing day. With every sunset, our time on this earth is being reduced from its borders. The rhetorical question, "So will it be they who will overcome?" serves as a final challenge to their notion of superiority and power, reminding them that they are utterly powerless in the face of divine will. Their perceived worldly dominance is but a fleeting mirage. Surah Al-Anbiya, the Prophets, 21:45. Verse 45 say, "I only warn you by revelation, but the deaf do not hear the call when they are warned." This final verse in our segment brings the focus back to the prophet's mission and the spiritual state of the heedless. The prophet, peace be upon him, is commanded to state with perfect clarity, "I only warn you by revelation." His role is not to compel belief, to perform parlor tricks, or to bring about punishment. His sole and sacred task is to deliver a clear and unambiguous warning that has been entrusted to him by Allah. His authority comes not from his own person, but from the divine revelation he has been entrusted with. This statement clarifies his role as a humble messenger and places the full responsibility of belief back on the individual. The truth has been revealed. The choice now belongs to them. The verse then provides a perfect and poignant metaphor for the disbelievers' spiritual state. But the deaf do not hear the call when they are warned. The Arabic word for deaf, asum, is not a physical condition, but a spiritual one. Their hearts and their minds are so sealed by their arrogance and their worldly attachments that they are incapable of hearing the truth, no matter how clearly and eloquently it is spoken. The call, or ad-dua, is the call to guidance, the call to truth, and the call to salvation. It is a beautiful and saving sound, but their spiritual ears are closed, and thus the message falls on them without any effect. This is the ultimate spiritual tragedy. The gift of divine guidance is offered, but their own inner state prevents them from receiving it. This verse is a timeless reminder that faith is not merely a matter of receiving information. It is a matter of having a receptive heart and an open mind. The Sufi understands this as the call to cleanse the inner self, to remove the spiritual blockages that prevent us from hearing the subtle whispers of divine truth, and to cultivate a heart that is always listening, always ready to respond to the call of its creator. Hadith, narrated by Abu Huraira. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "The world is a prison for the believer and a paradise for the disbeliever." Sahih Muslim, Book 42, Hadith 2956. This hadith perfectly encapsulates the spiritual state described in the verses. For the believer, this world, with all its tests and trials, is a prison, and they are constantly seeking their freedom in the hereafter. For the disbeliever, this world is their paradise, and they are so consumed by its fleeting pleasures that they cannot see the terrifying reality that awaits them beyond its gates. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. O Allah, the Most High, we seek refuge in your power from our own weakness and in your knowledge from our ignorance. Remove the veils from our hearts so that we may see your signs in this world. Protect us from the arrogance that leads to mockery and the heedlessness that leads to ruin. Grant us the gift of patience and help us to live each day with the awareness of our ultimate return to you. Do not let us be of those who are overwhelmed by your reckoning, and grant us a respite only to live a life pleasing to you. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ilm. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth, and may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Amin.